Hi, this is Joseph Bertolozzi. And this is Bridge Music. This audio tour will give you a little background on the sounds you hear on this recording. Since the Mid-Hudson Bridge is a suspension bridge, let's start with the most characteristic element of a suspension bridge, the suspender ropes. These hang vertically from the main cable holding the roadway up in the air. The longest ones are nearest the towers, and the shortest ones are nearest the shores and can also be found in the dead center of the span. You can hear these sounds in the intro to Bridge Funk. Next, let's listen to one of the many traffic signs found on the bridge. This one reads, "Bridge freezes before roadway," and sounds like just about what you'd think it sounds like. Yeah, pretty unremarkable. Here's the estuary sign. Here they are together. Now, by themselves, they don't exactly suggest your typical definition of the word music, but when placed in the right context, they become a pretty effective snare drum. After that initial hit, you may have noticed that you were also hearing the signs in combination with the long suspender ropes. I thought the added punch created more depth. Mixing and matching these different sounds is one of the most exciting aspects of composing music for a suspension bridge. That's the outboard pedestrian handrail. Outboard meaning toward the water rather than inboard toward the roadway. It's got a very clear musical property to its tone and was one of the surprises we found on the bridge. One of the more ridiculous sounds we came across was from the drainage grates. These are simply metal grates which keep rain and snow from accumulating on the deck. Played here with a metal screwdriver, you almost can't help but laugh. Musically, however, it suggested a scraped percussion instrument like a guitar, a rasp, or a washboard. All the sound on bridge music have a direct sample from the bridge's surfaces, without any boosting of treble or bass, equalization, compression, or any other studio techniques. We mostly used contact microphones, which pick up sound from the surface it's attached to, rather than from the airwaves like a standard acoustic mic. So for instance, if you went out onto the bridge with a baseball bat to try to duplicate these sounds, you won't hear the same thing. Now, having said all that, there was one sound to which we added a fair amount of reverb, and that was the quote-unquote cymbal sound. In actuality, it was a long pipe which we recorded using a standard acoustic mic and played by blowing compressed air into it. By itself, it played a very low D natural, which you can hear at the end of the air blast, along with some traffic noise. Remember, it was a regular mic we used. We then tried a longer blast of air, and finally, by adding reverb to it, we were able to add both a short and sustained cymbal-type sound. Other than that, you're hearing the bridge as it sounds naturally. Many of the tones in bridge music are layered combinations of two or more sounds to reinforce or enhance an effect. Just like in an orchestra, where you could have many instruments play the same melody at the same time. Well, one exquisite combination was taking the rasp of the drainage grate played just before the sustained pipe blast to create a swish-like sound. In stereo, you hear the grate on the left and the blast on the right, but because it happens so fast, you experience a single sound moving across your listening field, starting low and ending in a burst. If we now move to either end of the bridge, we'll see a large masonry pedestal, and on top of that what looks like two silver anvils placed on top of one another, with the bridge's main cable bending into the ground. These are the abutment saddles. Each of its ribs sound a different note because they're different lengths. The song Bright Interlude is a little study in this sonority. They also carry the melody in the middle section of Meltdown. Actually, they appear in almost every other song as well, either up front, deep in the mix, or in short solo flourishes. The towers provided a wealth of different sounds. If we hit the outer tower with a rubber mallet, this sound is produced. Using a log tipped with lamb's wool, you'll hear this. And finally, with a small hammer. We used the same implements on the inner tower as well. And just as a point of reference, here's the inner tower hit with a ball-peen hammer. All put together, you could get something like this. Or this.